Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are gonna go over something that is really important that we don't talk about very much.
Lighting is super important, and to be honest, it can be kind of a pain to figure out.
We're gonna go to Harbor Freight and we're gonna check out and see what they got and see how it works. All right guys, here we are, Harbor Freight. This has always been one of my favorite areas in the whole store. I always kind of try and think of new ways to light the area. You guys know we use the fairy light, but that might not work for you, and sometimes those fairy lights go bad. It's always good to have a backup lighting situation. So the cool thing about Harbor Freight is every time I come in here, they have different ways, different lighting solutions. So we're gonna get creative and come up with some different ways that you can light the area so that when you're freehand routing, you got plenty of light flooded in there.
All right guys, so we picked out the 5 we think are gonna work best. Now, let's get back to the shop and give them a shot.
Okay, so we're not putting these in any particular order. We're just taking each of these 5 and giving our take on them. First, we're going to talk about the neck lamp. Now, the positives for me on the neck lamp is there's nothing to fasten. It doesn't sit on the bench, so it leaves your bench clear, so that's a good thing. It's rechargeable. I really like that. Another positive is I like the way that you can focus the beam in and get it more directed right where you want it to be. The negatives are that I kind of feel like it might make me hunch over a little bit, which I try to stay straight up and down because I've got neck issues, back issues. That's one of the negatives for me. And it doesn't get as direct a light exactly where I want it to be as much as I want.
See, now I really like the neck lamp, mainly because I hate having stuff on the bench while I'm carving. It's just, I'm constantly moving stuff, so I really don't like that. And that thing, you just throw it on, and it gives you a pretty good amount of light. But Dad's right, you do kind of have to correct your posture. The lights swivel on it, which is really nice. So it just kind of depends on your body type, I think. If you're a little bit taller, not like me, if you're a little bit taller, it might work better. If you're a little shorter, it might not work as good. So you got to kind of figure it out for yourself. But I would much rather have something either on the router or on me than sitting on the bench. All right, so next is the collapsible lantern. Now, the positive on this is that it was $4, and that's about it. It might be really good for like camping or, you know, out on your patio or something, but for this, it's not directed light. It's just not what you want to use at all.
Yeah, so, and I would agree with that. When I opened it up and looked at it in Harbor Freight, you're like, wow, that's pretty bright. That might work well, but because it's more of a 360-degree light, it would be great for a closet. So it's good for certain applications, and for less than $4, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's just not directed light so for this application, it was a total fail. Okay, let's talk about this Luminar work light. Now this one was, I really like this one. I didn't like it originally because it had some tabs on it that wouldn't allow it to shine right down on the router the way I like it. It kind of was blinding me because it's really bright LED, but I really liked it once we ground off those tabs. That allowed me to really point it down right on the actual carving area. I also like it, and this could be a negative or a positive for you, that it's plug-in. I like that because I don't mind having something else to plug into, and I don't have to worry about batteries or recharging.
So it actually does work really well. It lights up the whole area. The biggest downfall for me is the fact that it's on the bench. And as you're moving, if you got your light in front and then you're moving off to the side, you have to move the light, which is not a big deal, but it's kind of irritating, you know. So other than that, it works really great. It's on the bench. It's going to be either on the board you're carving or on the bench in the way. And that just bugs the crap out of me.
And see, that doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. There you go.
It does work, and it's only 18 bucks or 20 bucks, something like that.
20 bucks, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the next one is the gooseneck. Now, one of the downfalls on this thing is that it was like 43 bucks, right? So it was definitely the most expensive. However, it's super bright and it's flexible, so you can move it without having to move the whole thing. You could just move the head. I like it strapped to the router. Dad would rather have it on the bench, but it's definitely usable. It's a little bit cumbersome. It's a little bit...
Well, it has some weight to it. It's rechargeable, and it has that little light indicator to tell you where the charge is. I like that.
Yeah.
I really like the being able to focus this thing, and all of these light things for me, if I can get the light in between me and the router, I'd rather have it there if it's practical.
But it'll definitely work, and it is super bright.
It's got a magnet, a really strong magnet built into the housing. So if you have a piece of metal somewhere around your bench, you might have it, you know, stuck right on the edge of your bench or whatever. That magnet is plenty strong enough to keep that thing from tipping.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a pretty good light. I like it.
Yeah, I really do. It might be my favorite. I don't know, but still kind of up in the air. So now let's talk about the magnetic slim bar. Now this one has a magnet on it, although we don't really find, or I haven't found that really useful in this because it's right at the end. I like the fact that this thing will pivot a little bit. In order to use it on the bench, Ryan actually put together a little jig, a little holder, and then it rotates and will let you put that light pretty much where you want. So that's definitely a positive. This one is rechargeable. I like it. It's got 3 actual light settings, 2 on the main bar and then 1 at the end, which isn't applicable for me. The negative about this for me is it really doesn't give me a practical way to put the light in between me and the router. You really pretty much would have to set on the other side of the router unless you do some other kind of hookup for it.
So I actually like this one. The only negative for me on this one is the fact that it's sitting on the bench. But because I like my light on the other side of the router, it really doesn't get in the way too much. And that little jig I made, it took me 10 minutes and a couple nails. I mean, it was no big deal. And I kind of also like the fact that it's a great little flashlight. You can use it for a ton of other applications. You don't have to just use it for this. But with this little jig, it gives plenty of light. It's light, it's not too bulky, it doesn't really get in the way, and it allows you to see what you're doing, which is pretty much the whole point, right? So I like this one quite a bit.
Yeah, this one will be in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, top 4 even, because that other one sucks.
Yeah, yeah. So there's 5 ideas for you guys. Again, right now we've got our fairy lights set up, but those things, the more I use those, the more they seem to be kind of failing, and I don't know if it's the router that's causing them kind of to short out a little bit. So this is 5 more options for lighting. That's you know, some of them are super inexpensive, but the main theory here, the main theme is keep your eyes open, find out what works best for you. The cool thing is the technology on little lighting operations like this is just, it's getting better all the time. That's why Harbor Freight and these places, one of my favorite places to go is just to go see what kind of lighting options they have.
Yeah, and another one that we didn't put on the list, I'm not a fan of Harbor Freight's headlamps, but I have a Nebo headlamp that we use around the house all the time. A headlamp is an option too. Yeah. But again, that's going to kind of mess with your posture a little bit. So just look around, see what you can find, get creative, and make sure it just works for whatever your application. As always, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell icon, and if you have a suggestion for lighting that we haven't thought about, leave it in the comment.
Yeah, let us know. We'd like to see what you guys are doing.
Exactly right. So, all right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Love you guys. See ya. Bye.
Bye.